While we don't know when it will start, Jesus does inform us of when it won't start, which we'll explore next. What's up everyone, Dane Allen here. Welcome to In Context, the channel that's all about helping you better understand the Bible in its proper context. In this video, I want to give you some things to think about regarding Jesus' words in Matthew 24 verses 36 through 44, which I take to be a single unit in this chapter and the answer to the disciples' first question, which is, when will these things be? Unlike verses 4 through 35, which is discussing the events that take place during the day of the Lord and warning a specific future group of people that will be alive during that time, verses 36 through 44 is specifically written for believers like you and I today who will live before the judgments of that day begin. And what Jesus is talking about in this section is the next event that is going to take place in the biblical chronology of end times, and it might come sooner than you think. The way Jesus goes about responding to the disciples' question is by providing a quick answer, 2 examples of what this event will be like, and practical instructions to live by in the meantime. So, when will these things be? First up, the answer. Verse 36. But of that day and hour no one knows, not even the angels of heaven, but my Father only. Jesus' answer is short, sweet, and to the point. No one knows when the day of the Lord will begin. This should comfort us because when people claim to know the exact date of when all this crazy stuff is going to happen, we can simply ask the question, are these guys more reliable than Jesus? The obvious answer being no. But even more comforting is that while we don't know when it will start, Jesus does inform us of when it won't start, which we'll explore next. So, the first example, Noah's day, verse 37 through 39. But as the days of Noah were, so also will the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered the ark, and did not know until the flood came and took them all away. So also will the coming of the Son of Man be. Jesus compares the judgment of Noah's day to the future judgment. The flood represents the day of the Lord, and the normal activities like eating, drinking, and marrying show that life will seem ordinary with no warning signs. Noah boarding the ark symbolizes the church being raptured before the judgment begins, and the flood represents the judgment that will follow shortly after. The flood helps us understand the day of the Lord. The people living normal lives before the flood represents those who will be caught off guard by the coming judgment, and Noah represents those spared from the judgment. Just as Noah was lifted above the flood by the ark, the church, those who have believed in Jesus for the free gift of everlasting life in this age, will be caught up with Christ in the clouds before judgment begins. This parallels how Noah entered the ark before the flood came. Next example, the actual day. Verse 40 through 41. Then 2 men will be in the field, one will be taken and the other left. 2 women will be grinding at the mill, one will be taken and the other left. Jesus moves from an example from the past to an example from the future of what this day will be like for those alive at the time of this event. 2 people are doing everyday tasks, and without warning, one is taken and the other left. This illustrates the suddenness of the event where believers are caught up to be with Christ, while unbelievers are left behind. The point is that this will happen unexpectedly, but believers can be prepared, unlike the world, which will be caught off guard. This leads to Jesus' practical instructions for believers today, verses 42 through 44. Watch therefore, for you do not know what hour your Lord is coming. But know this, that if the master of the house had known what hour the thief would come, he would have watched and not allowed his house to be broken into. Therefore you also be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at an hour you do not expect. This is a clear warning for believers to live with an awareness that Jesus could return at any moment, triggering the world's judgments to begin. At that point, there will be no more time to get our act together or become faithful. We will be held accountable for how we use the time and resources He gave us, and our choices will determine our experience in His kingdom. That's why Jesus compares His return to a thief. If we aren't watchful and living in faithful obedience, we risk losing rewards in His kingdom that we could have gained through faithfulness. On that note, let's move to application. Be comforted and be cautious. Take comfort in knowing that we are not destined to face the day of the Lord, and we won't be here when it happens. However, don't let that comfort make you complacent. While we won't endure the tribulation, we will stand before Christ to give an account for our lives as believers, where we will receive either reward or rebuke. This judgment doesn't determine where we spend eternity, but how we experience it. Everyone at this judgment are saved individuals. They will be in God's kingdom forever. However, our experience in the kingdom will reflect how we invested our lives here on earth. So Jesus' warning to be watchful and ready is very appropriate, and I hope that you and I are both doing just that when he returns. That's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like. It helps the channel to reach more people. For more biblical discussions, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos. We'll be covering more on Matthew 24 and end times prophecies soon, so stay tuned. If you're curious about the intended audience for Matthew 24, 4 through 35, check out this video for a clear answer. And if this is your first time hearing about the biblical doctrine of eternal rewards and would like to know more about that, stick around because there's more to come and you won't want to miss out on that. Thanks for watching, and as always, when reading your Bible, remember to keep it in context.